You didn't come here to break yourself, to fit into a mold that wasn't designed with you at heart. You didn't incarnate here simply to clip your wings off and follow along in a line of what was being presented to you right in front of you. You know this, and I know that you know this.
From the most pragmatic sense, what I'm going to offer us to both review in this particular video message is we're going to commit to a certain level of clarity on this juncture where you are in your life right now and what you truly are ready to embody forward from here in your life. Now, I'm Danielle Lynn. I have precision conversations with very empowered creators such as yourself. I facilitate genuine transformation from connecting to your inner space, integrating, and then experiencing firsthand just how life is built for you to thrive directly within it. Now, one of the first things I'd like to speak on is a few of the myths when it comes to reality creation. One is that the goal from my perspective isn't actually higher consciousness simply as a endless trajectory. In order for us to ascend in consciousness, it unconsciously speaks to also having a lower descent point. Anything that goes up has a drop down beneath it. And when we overemphasize the importance of higher consciousness, we can sometimes have a shadow subconscious reaction that tries to push away what we perceive as lower consciousness or undesirable, which can actually create some really funny inner complexes within us, in which we start to go to war within ourselves over being higher consciousness or not. The more that we emphasize living in integrity, in alignment with what we say, what we think, what we do, the more likely that the byproduct of our energy field is going to be an expanded consciousness state naturally. And then there is less of a concern of whether it fluctuates, because fluctuating states is also a natural part of life. Consider your own body. Throughout the whole day, it gains and loses a few pounds of water weight, of whatever else. And so in the same way, your energetic body may oscillate a bit. And when we have a loving relationship and a fluid relationship with ourselves, we're less likely to engage in shame, blame, or guilt around having these perceived oscillating patterns, which allows us to, ironically, not get so caught up when we seem to have a negative experience or negative emotions, and we can receive that as simply part of the whole quest and experience of being human. Next, sometimes we can look at these kinds of experiences, these spiritual experiences, as a way to try and move beyond our challenging states. Another word for this could be seen as bypassing. So when we attempt to bypass meeting ourselves, meeting our shadow, connecting within, what we do is, once again, we reinforce a state of fragmentation. In my own experience, being human, being divine, allowing yourself to feel and experience the spectrum of being you is essentially the journey and the path. When we're really engaging with the adventure in this way, we shift from imagining that there's something wrong with us being human being, and we start to realize that the entire experience of life we're having is like a deep integrative map that we are just unfolding the adventure on. It's kind of like if you go on a road trip and you may have a plan overall, but Perhaps there is a place that you feel called to pull over the road and you see some shooting stars and it ends up being beautiful. Well, it's kind of like the human journey as well. Part of the beauty of your experience is having the variety of ups and downs. It's actually our very human qualities that assist us in creating some of the most beautiful art, some of the most incredible depths in music and literature and anything we share. I invite you to consider anyone that you admire. And I would imagine that most of them have very human stories that you can relate to. Anyone that you have deeply appreciated has had their shares of successes, but also their shares of challenges. If one of your goals is to live in a very spiritual way, one of the most spiritual ways that you could live right now is through having the capacity to connect to the higher frequencies and then be able to draw them down into your body, into this grounded, practical life, and be the embodier of the one who can be in the high frequencies, but also meet the practicalness, the roughness, the grounded level of this reality. So let's talk a bit now about reality creation itself. And what I mean by this is the ability to really be connected within, to live your life authentically, and then choose the paths that you most want to experience. When it comes to the practical levels of your life, and we could talk about that as like tending to things such as your resource, your housing, everything else. In many ways, this is an invitation to start utilizing this skill set of yours, this ability to simply step into your heart and go, you know the way, I am fully present, I am here to live my divine birthright. What now? And you can hear it. You can hear it in the way that this was presented in the voice. And there is an equally powerful voice presence within yourself that has that kind of self-ownership. And it has more potency than money. It has more potency than any kind of external power you could find here. And it connects you to your share of, you could say, whatever it is you are interested in embodying externally as well. Now, the beauty of this kind of embodiment is that it connects you to the path of what I would call aligned action, effortless action. Because it's effortless because you are connected to the rhythm of your own inner path, the rhythm of what you're creating, but this is not conceptual. This involves more of a coherence and trust within your heart self. Because I've described it before, where once you start operating from a deeper and deeper sense of trust, you're less reliant on the pictures or the external stories to make the movements in life. You're no longer saying, show me before I take the step. Instead, you're doing an interesting merge where you're simultaneously inviting yourself to imagine, to dream, to envision, and then you go, great, what's the now step? And let's just say you've imagined that you're traveling the world and it's easeful and you have all the resource you need to travel. Well, maybe the first step sends you to a local place for a job application. And in your mind's eye, you go, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would I do that or whatever? And this is the place where you invite the mind to chill. Because when your heart gives you a directive, when it gives you a invitation, when it shows you a path as you are in the resonance of something, it's lining you up with the field of synchronicity. You let go of the attachment to how everything must turn out. And what ends up happening is the most energy effective path begins to show up. Who knows what happens when you take that step? Maybe as you drive there, you get a flat tire and the person who comes to help you connects you with someone else, which connects you with this, and a whole series of events happen. Maybe you get the job. Maybe you work there for a few months, and then suddenly someone comes into the job space and starts talking to you about travel and extends an invitation to you. And all of these are just to show that there's numbers of branching off ways, but see, none of these ways we're not being attached to any one of the ways that can occur. And now you're surfing in the creation of reality, and your greatest responsibility is to yourself and your coherence in the present moment. Your greatest responsibility is to not tend seeds of unknowing or doubt or fear. You can observe them when and if they come up, but then you give priority to, okay, cool, that exists, and what now? I would say the greatest thing that, if I could impart this to you right now, is that it's not about having faith in something showing up. It's about already being all in, that no faith is required. You are so completely in that, in essence, whatever comes up and is asked of you, you take that step. You boldly step into a knowing. You explore beyond your comfort zone. And this is sometimes what is required. Sometimes we are invited to move beyond our comfort zone and what is known, and to do so in ways that might initially be experienced as boring or challenging or this or that. The paradox here is because you're no longer operating with your goal out of fear or grasping, because you're operating from an inner state of being all in with the essence of your vision, then all you are doing is you are utilizing your inner compass to navigate a field of unknowing that you yourself are mapping out through your frequency and living your life. In other words, you're becoming the path forger. You are living your myth. You are living your resonance of this life and of this world and of this reality. And no one else is going to map it for you. So you get the joy and the journey of living it yourself. For myself, the most powerful experiences that I've lived have had a connection point, a rooting point within my own heart. You see, I've spoken about this before, but your mind can only take you so far. Your heart is a translation hub. It doesn't only translate emotions, it actually has a wide spectrum of intelligence. And so the more that you are receiving intelligence from within your heart and then directing it to your mind and directing it into your life, the more that you will find yourself connecting with the ideas, the intuitions, and the inspirations that are not only fun to live in external reality, but they also have a high degree of inner satisfaction. Because at that juncture, they're likely connected with, we can call it your dharma. They're connected with your life path. They're connected with what you're naturally built for. And I have personally found that this is also connected to the flow-based way of living. When we are living in flow, we are not arguing with life and insisting on what must be. Instead, we cultivate a relationship with life that allows us to both move with the rhythms of life, but also to speak up, to utilize our voice. And I don't even just mean our speaking voice, I mean our greater essence, the voice of the heart, the voice of your presence, to commune directly with life and choose your navigational path. In many ways, I would coin this as the magic beyond magic, because we are no longer fighting with the rhythms of life. Now we are more engaged in a dance with life. We are engaged in this beautiful presence of both being very much in our inner strength, very much in our empowered state, but not attempting to shove and push and force our energy through all of reality. And so, in this way, we find that not only are we moving in a more energetically effective way, we find ourselves moving from the integrated masculine and feminine. We find ourselves both utilizing our intuitive skill set, but also our ability to move and choose direction where appropriate to manifest. It's the merging of the high priestess and the magician. It's the merging of the inner emperor and the inner empress. And this is something that you're not only capable of, it appears to be, from my perspective, your full-on trajectory, my dear. And being aware of this will assist you in a few ways. One is you can give yourself a lot more credit for arriving here in the first place. And I don't even just mean on this message, but I mean on this frequency level where receiving this message is possible, but also being this level of aware of your inner state, no matter what's going on in your life, is allowing you to connect with this level of remembering. Now, if there was a few more thoughts that I could add here to really help ground this in, this is not something you need to effort. It's not something that you need to believe you got to force yourself to do. You're either into it right now or you're not. If you're not right now, then be kind to yourself. If you're not, then choose to go all in with the not. Because what you're really doing is you're giving yourself permission to engage with whatever is present for you in the present moment and go all in with it. And what you start realizing is it doesn't matter so much which choice you make, not as much as you think it does. What tends to matter more is the way in which you are making choices. The foundation from which you are making choices tends to have more of a lasting impact, you could say. And what we find is that the issue itself isn't making mistakes. The issue is when we either choose to not move at all and therefore nothing happens, or we make, a challenging step and then we get stuck in that step, or we don't want to choose anymore. We don't make any more mistakes. Whereas the answer, I find, is just to keep moving forward, to be curious, to integrate, to tune in within, to make our most resonant choice and not fear the mistake, but be curious about the possibility. My friend, if you feel inspired to explore these topics deeper, I invite you to my description link. You can either check out my website. There are some portals there if you would like to explore connecting with me. There are the Flowbook link and portals, which is a wonderful tool. I quite enjoy it myself, and it'll also get you access to my newsletter. I send out fun things every once in a while. And you can also check out my Self-Alchemy Lab, online community and hub, many tools and resources in there. And in all cases, my friend, I have every confidence that you are continuing to connect to your most resonant path. I am looking forward, as always, to when we choose to connect again, and I deeply appreciate you.